Okay, we're here at Franklin Field, which is up by Walnut Grove. Let's see if I got the record started. Stop and save. No, we're running, so I got to get rid of this. There we go. And then make it a little lighter with the sun coming up. There we go. There. Okay, here we go. Franklin Field. It's north of Lock and it's south of Galt, north of Lodi. A little field here that I flew down to in a experimental aircraft, and I was a heavy crosswind that day, and on trying to take off it was blowing me toward a cyclone fence, and I cut the power and the plane went sideways, did a ground loop, and ended up on its nose. And that was probably the most serious crash I ever had. Alright, so we're taking off to the west. We want to head south, put the wheels up and the flaps up. And we'll let it come around. There's Mount Diablo in the distance, which helps me orient myself. The red lights are all the windmills over there south of Rio Vista. And we got I-5 ahead of us. I know where I'm going, which is strange for me. I'm just kidding. I've been all over this area. And where we're headed is there's a little private club on the San Joaquin River, next to the San Joaquin River, going into Stockton. And we'll fly down to there. There's a few spots in between. Let's see how we're doing on our track of flight. That track, I set that track up. It goes to Tracy, and I figured it would go close to where I want to go. We do see on that screen, on the left side of the screen, we see some waterways that are pretty large, and what that is the old Sacramento River coming down. The ferry boats used to go there, and there's also the little area called Lock, and there is a lock there, and then you get into the Delta Airways and so forth. So we're heading south. We've said enough about Lock. They have a Chinese village there that people go to, the original probably single wall construction. So we'll stay in between I-5 and I can see the waterways heading south from Lock. That could be the Sacramento River. Definitely further on over where you see the lights going along the river, just this side of all the red lights. That's the old Sacramento River there. So these are just the two sloughs heading south, waterways that go down to the San Joaquin River. And you can take it left to Stockton, and you can take it right to go to where the Sportsman's Yacht Club is, and on out toward the San Francisco Bay. Goes to the right, just north of Mount Diablo. And again, today I'm high enough at this juncture, and we'll stay right about here. So we're going to fly by a little place that used to stop. They have a restaurant, a bar, and they have mobile home park and a subdivision adjacent to, and it's called Tower Park. It's on Route 24, which goes between Fairfield. It goes Fairfield, Rio Vista, which is on the Sacramento River, and comes straight across. It runs east-west, and on the east end is Lodi, north of Stockton, and on the west end is Fairfield. Travis Air Force Base is over there, and you'll see a bridge that crosses right here at Tower Park. A lot of water skiing and wakeboarding on these protected. The levee tends to protect the winds that are generally out of the west and make the water choppy in the day, and you get the wind break from the levee being at least 8 feet to 10 feet high. So you find nice glassy waters to ski on. Okay, this first spot here, I saw the little juggle in the river, and I thought that was going to be Tower Park. But now I see Tower Park up ahead, and it's right there is Tower Park, and here's the Highway 24 coming across out of Rio Vista and going over to Lodi. Got a little cough, excuse me. And these waterways will take me right down to the private island that I'm heading for, and you'll see how these levees keep. What they do is they put the levees in, and then they pump out the water and grow crops. Very, very fertile land. There was a guy like Fremont, the explorer, climbed up on Fremont Peak, or somebody did, back in the turn of the 1800s, 1800s. And during the spring runoff, he looked out to the east here, and it was all underwater from the spring runoff from the Sierras. So somebody, when they finally ran out of land that didn't get flooded, they started building the levees. They say the railroads were built by the Chinese, and then after they got finished building the railroads, they built the levee system. Of course, they started getting steam shovels, steam drag lines, and so they weren't all hand-built. But now we're flying right over Tower Park, and this is quite a resort with a restaurant in here, and you can rent boats. These are all storage for private boats. These are all areas, covered slips, and then you can rent space for your RV, or you can rent one of theirs. They have mobile homes in there, all kinds of stuff. These waters are probably in the high 60s, and the further you get away from the San Joaquin River, some of these areas down in the south probably hit 70 in the summertime. Up ahead, you see Frank's Track, not up ahead, on the way over to Diablo. There's Frank's tract over there. That was pumped out back about the time I was born in 1937, and they said they had a storm and a tide surge that blew down the levee, and it filled up. They emptied it out. They repaired the levee, emptied it out, and the next year it blew down again. So it's been a lake over there, and we're going to fly over that way and finish up this flight at the bar where we used to go for lunch. It is called the Rusty Porthole, and we have a bar and a nice lunch in there. You can pull up in your boat, tie up. Now we're coming up on the little island. When I first came to the Delta, right under me is probably Little Venice Yacht Club. You don't see any improvements down there, but they had an old Victorian was the house. They had a main house on the island, and frankly, I think what depicted that was we just flew over it. But the island, the private island that I told you about, is associated with a club in the Bay Area, and we're flying over it right now. And they had a stag cruise there. They have a boat. They have the old Lighthouse from Angel Island, or one of the islands down there in the Bay Area, and that's kind of like a bed and breakfast. So we'll fly back across that. And looking south, looking east. We'll come around for one more pass over the Mystery Island. And there's 2 or 3 ways to get in there in the boat. There's little inlets. And the build-up on the island isn't, the only 2-story, 3-story building is the Lighthouse, which again they put on a barge and brought it up. It's a 3-story affair. It has 6 rooms in it, kitchen, dining room, living room, and the old lighthouse keeper had a really nice home. So when they got GPS and they didn't need lighthouses to any extent, they just abandoned it, had it probably for sale, and these guys put it on a barge again and brought it up. I'm going to see if this is the old little Venice right here. Well, but I would say we're on the San Joaquin River heading for Frank's tract. And when we came up out of Sausalito, the first time I did that was in the 70s. A friend said we're going to have a stag weekend. So we got on a sailboat out of Sausalito. Took about 8 hours coming up through the north end of San Francisco Bay to San Pablo Bay after the Richmond Bridge, Richmond San Rafael. We came up to the Carquinez Straits and Sassoon Bay, where the mothball fleet was. Then the Sacramento River, and it divides into the San Joaquin River, runs into the Sacramento River just this side of Sassoon Bay, where the mothball fleet was. And so we're heading at that. If we were to go back down to the Bay Area, we would continue on this route, which of course is west, to San Francisco. Oakland is a little more to the left. We'd go just to the right of Diablo to go to Oakland. And this again is Frank's tract. We would take a shortcut through here in Ben's 40-foot sailboat, and we get off of the San Joaquin River, which is up to the right. You can see it up there, and take this little shortcut. And this between the levees, the old levee is, of course, almost 90 years old now, is just all pretty much gone. But on the right, you have a new levee. You can see how it stays just dry. But if that levee were to breach, that area on the right would be filled with water. So we're just heading, going to start down a little more, and we're going to the Rusty Porthole for lunch. Not breakfast. So you go that way down to Tracy, and you go back up that way to Rio Vista, and back behind us is Stockton. This mass of land that we're heading for is called Bethel Island. They have quite a few homes all the way around the perimeter. Are homes right on the water. They have their little docks. Again, we don't seem to see any boats because of the glitch in the program. So we'll just kind of go right down in here. One of these little ways we used to duck in, and there was a little island between where you got in. Oh, we've got it coming with some flap. Okay, here we go, right up the ramp. I hope breakfast is ready. Okay, that's it. We better put our flap up and shut her down. Look in the cockpit here. Here we got the throttle all the way back. Turn the key off. Here's the key right over there. Here's our flaps. See our flaps going up and down. I better not touch the landing gear. We don't want to stick the landing gear down into the mud. And you can see where we're right on Frank's track right here. There's Frank's track. And we could sneak through here and go out. This is called Taylor Slough. Goes around Bethel Island. They did build a subdivision back in the early 2000s, and it never really got off the ground. This is a Victoria Lake, I think. That's right. Could be a kind of like a reservoir. And they get into the aqueduct, getting the water ready to send south to LA. This is all involved in that. But going back here, this is called Dutch Slough, going back over here. And there's a big break. I don't know what this little body of land is, but next to that, here's the San Joaquin River coming down. The Sacramento River would come down over here. But the Sportsman Yacht Club would be right over in there. All right. Thanks for watching. Some of these areas are enhanced, and this is a computer generated structure, which is fun. Looks pretty good from the air. When you get down close to some of these areas, they break down like this. Okay, that's it. Take care.